1 mile south of Elkins, Arkansas, you can find a poultry and beef operation owned by Jeff Marley and his family. Marley bought the property in 1987 and transformed the land to run commercial cattle. In 2002, Marley built 4 modernized, efficient broiler houses for Tyson Foods on the flat, river-bottom ground that is a part of the Beaver Lake watershed. A year later, he built 6 more. Each house holds approximately 24,000 birds 5 times a year. Marley's farm is one of 9 University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture discovery farms across the state. Discovery farms are privately owned farms on which research and demonstrations regarding the environmental impact of agricultural production are conducted. Andrew Sharpley, co-chair of the U of A Division of Agriculture's Environmental Task Force and Discovery Farms program, works closely with the farmers on addressing environmental issues that deal with water quality and nutrient runoff. He explains the goals of the Discovery Farms.
We got involved in a program called Discovery Farms to help work with farmers and to look at the losses of what was actually happening on their farms, and then if there was an issue, implement some conservation measures that would hopefully reduce those losses, and then document that. And the other big effort for this was the fact that we know that farmers talk to other farmers, and although Extension and Research, the university has a lot of networking going on, that the best way to get a message out is from one farmer to another. And so this part of this program also is having farmers work with other farmers and promote practices, and then they can see it working on a farm or a neighbor's, and they're more likely to adopt and change some practices. Jeff Marley came to us interested in being a part of the Discovery Farm program, and his main concern was looking at nutrients that may be coming off from around his poultry houses and the production area. EPA did a lot of spot testing or checking around the watershed about 2 years ago, and it got farmers a little concerned, and they were focusing mainly on the production areas. And there's some spillage that just occurs by nature. It's not bad management, it just happens. And so he was concerned that if that was running off during a rainstorm, and if it was, what could he do? And so we've been monitoring runoff from around his houses and looking at maybe the dust that comes down to the ventilation fans.
One environmental concern associated with poultry production is the possibility of nutrients in poultry litter mixing with water during rain events or during the cleaning of houses. The nitrogen and phosphorus in the poultry litter could run off the Marley's farm and possibly increase the growth of algae and weeds in streams and lakes near his farm's boundaries. Understanding this concern, Marley has taken proactive measures to eliminate the threat of nutrient runoff around his houses. In 2011, Marley was approached by the local county extension agent to see if he would be interested in hosting a discovery farm on his land to study ways to protect water quality on his farm. Marley explains why he was interested in getting sound research to back up the water quality protection practices he follows on his property.
One reason I was very interested in the Discovery Farm was when we were discussing the program, it was very apparent that a lot of the information they were seeking was comparable with a lot of the practices is what I was trying to implement and work daily on my farm here, which would be limiting the amount of any runoff we have away from my facilities here.
When poultry houses are cleaned out, small amounts of litter may fall on the ground just outside the houses. Some litter may also fall to the ground near the stacking shed where litter is stored to be used as compost. Also, dust may exit the houses through ventilation fans and may accumulate on the ground. Marley is aware of these issues and employs measures to ensure that excess nutrients do not leave his farm during or after a rain. The University of Arkansas Division of Agriculture and Marley have implemented some techniques around the farm to help conserve the nutrients that run off during heavy rainfall. Some of these techniques include buffer zones and a pond to help with filtration efforts. Marley explains the practices he uses on his poultry operation and how they are beneficial.
I have a stacking shed there that I keep my in-between litter, not the clean out, but the litter that we take out of the houses between flocks, so that it's under a roof and protected. Then we also have grass buffer strips between the facilities and in the wet weather streams, hoping that the buffer strips, which is just native grass, it would be improved pasture style vegetation is filtrating and consuming any of the excess nutrients that leaves the facilities. And then below every one of the natural drainages, we do go through a pond, so we can take into effect the dilution effect of any big rain event, any stormwater, big rain drainage event. You know, it will catch that, dilute it before it then discharges it off the property.
The Discovery Farm water collection and monitoring stations, called flumes, are stationed strategically behind 6 of Marley's poultry houses. Runoff flows from 2 houses to a holding pond, and from the other 4 across a pasture and into a creek which is a tributary of the White River. A monitoring station has been established at the pond's edge, which will quantify nutrient and sediment loadings captured by the pond. Additional stations collect runoff water immediately prior to entering the pasture and then immediately before it enters the creek after running through a buffer zone. Lawrence Berry, a Discovery Farm field technician with the U of A, is responsible for collecting water samples on site. After a rain, Berry will travel to the farms to collect the samples from each station. After collecting the samples, Berry takes them to the water quality lab on the U of A campus, where he looks for phosphorus, nitrogen, and total suspended solids. He also looks at how much rainfall runs through the measuring device at each site.
So when we go out there, it's usually after a rainstorm event, so we've had runoff. And I know that, an automated sampler has been triggered and that the program's completed. So at that point I go out there and I collect a composite water sample, up to 100 composite 100 ml samples all put into one jug. The parameters that we look for in the water are nitrogen, total phosphorus, dissolved phosphorus, and total suspended solids.
With the collection of sound baseline data underway, Marley and many others are eagerly awaiting the day that they will see if their practices are really conserving the environment. Though this type of research is a key objective of the Discovery Farm program, another purpose of Discovery Farms is to educate. Marley's farm, for example, serves as a demonstration of good water quality practices. Many of the Discovery Farm landowners host tours for various groups who are interested in water quality and conservation in hopes of educating the public, as well as other farmers on farm practices and how they affect the environment. Marley believes that the research on his farm will be beneficial to all farmers with similar operations. He hopes that the data from the research and demonstration projects on his farm will encourage other farmers to implement buffer strips, holding ponds, or other filtration practices on their own farms in response to conservation. For more information on the Arkansas Discovery Farms, visit discoveryfarms.uark.edu.